Hello everyone, welcome to this very special set of videos or series of videos Teja teaches, and my name is Raviteja to start with, and I am an instructor for quantitative ability and data interpretation. And through this series of videos, what I'm going to take you through is certain concepts or certain types of questions that you should not ideally miss out on when you are actually preparing for CAT. The reason is very simple. What I have chosen for this video and videos going forward, what I will choose is the questions from important concepts that have appeared in the last 4, 5, 10 years of CAT, so which have a recency effect, and there is a high probability that these kind of questions keep repeating themselves. These kind of questions keep repeating themselves in the CAT. So through in this particular video, what I have done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through one very important concept of arithmetic, that is percentage. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on solving and making you understand what percentage is. I hope you know how you go about percentages. I'm going to spend a little time on how to solve those questions, what are different approaches that you can apply to each of the questions to make your life a little easier. So in this particular video and going forward, what we're going to do is look at one or two concept questions and then probably solve 4 or 5 application questions, so that that particular area is a little clearer to you in terms of what kind of questions have actually appeared in CAT and what are the types of questions you should not ideally miss out on when you are going to take a mock or when you are going to actually appear for CAT. So let's get started with the episode 1 of Teja teaches. In this episode, I'm going to take you through arithmetic, and for this arithmetic lesson, I have chosen the concept of percentages. But before we actually get into solving all those questions or looking at those questions, please understand what is the importance or weightage of arithmetic as such is in CAT. So if you look at the last 4 or 5 years of CAT, starting from CAT 2017 to CAT 2021 is what is there on this slide, you'll find that typically in CAT 2021, maybe 50% of the paper was arithmetic only. Roughly 40% of the paper in CAT 2020 in all the slots were arithmetic. Roughly 40 again here, roughly 40 again here. So arithmetic is roughly 40% of the paper. And what does arithmetic include? What does arithmetic include? Arithmetic essentially includes percentage, profit loss discount, simple interest, compound interest, ratio proportions, mixtures, allegations, averages. These are the topics that you have actually done, in school in terms of word problems. And that is what is very important in CAT, because CAT is not an exam of higher mathematics or knowledge in mathematics. It is your ability to deal with numbers that matters over here. It is actually quantitative ability, which actually literally translates to ability to deal with numbers, and that is what we are going to see over here. The second most important undeniable chapter or unit or area in which the questions will be asked is algebra. Algebra will consist of roughly constitute to around 25% of the paper. So if you actually plan to do well in CAT, you cannot miss out on the questions of arithmetic and algebra, because taken together they'll constitute of about 70% of the paper. About 70% of the paper will be of quantitative ability will be from arithmetic and algebra, and these are the areas that you cannot simply neglect. The third most important area definitely becomes geometry. So if you actually look at what you have done in school, what you have done in past, these are the three areas that you have actually studied in school back in class 10, back in class 9, and these are the three areas that constitute of roughly 80 to 85% of the paper. So I think there is no reason to worry. There's no reason to worry about the concepts. What you need to worry though about is how to approach the questions and how to get to answers quicker. So what I'm going to discuss is questions based on basic percentages. Then there is a myth about CAT ki boss, CAT mein the tough questions aate hain. It is not actually true. It is not at all true that CAT always asks tough questions. CAT asks very easy questions also. For example, this, my friends, is a previous CAT question. So if you look at this, you will understand that, boss, this is probably a sitter that I should not have missed out on in the paper. But I know many of the students would have missed out on this because they were not good at probably selecting the question. But before we get into solving the actual application questions, let us look at a couple of basic questions. So in a test, I secured 30% of maximum marks and failed by 15 marks. My friend secured 45% of maximum marks and passed by 30 marks. So what you can do is, the traditional approach is, what you can do is that consider the maximum marks is X. So if the maximum marks is X, how much did I secure and how much did my friend secure? I secured 30% of maximum marks. So I secured 30 by 100 of X. How much did my friend secure? How much did my friend secure? My friend secured 45 by 100 of 45 by 100 of X. Okay. And what happened with me? I failed by 15 marks. So let us say the pass marks is P. Another variable I am introducing over here. Let us say the pass mark is P, then I would have got P minus 15. P minus 15. And what did my friend get? What did my friend get? He secured 45% marks and he got P plus 30. Now, what is the difference between P minus 15 and P plus 30? P plus 30 minus P minus 15. Actually the variable P doesn't even matter because वो cancel होने वाला है यहाँ पे. So what you'll get is 45. So what I will get is the difference between these two things is 45 marks. I am supposed to find what is X. So the difference between these two things is 45 marks. So what I will get is 15 by 100 of X is equal to 45. So X must be equal to 300. So the maximum marks is 300. This is how basically you should approach the question. Basically you would have approached the question in school also, right? Is there a faster way of doing it? Because you understand certain things about percentages, I think it makes life very, very easy if you ignore the absolute values and work in percentages completely. Ignore the absolute value and agree in work in percentages. So take a look at it. If the paper was 100 marks, what did I secure? 30 marks. What did my friend secure? 45 marks. What should be the difference between these marks? 15 marks. But what is the actual difference given in the question? 15 marks less and 30 marks more. That is 45. I would have, if the total paper was 100 marks, I would get the difference between my marks and my friend's marks to be 15. But here I am getting 45. 15 threes are 45. So because I have to multiply this 15 into 3, I'll multiply everything into 3. So 100 into 3, 300. 100 into 3, 300 is the total marks. As simple as that. For all you know, you can take the total to be 100x. You can take the total to be 100x. Out of 100x, 30x is this, 45x is this, 15x is this, 15x is equal to 45, x is equal to 3. Using that, you can get 100x is equal to 300. Now, actually, if you look at it, what I have done here is exactly what I have done over here. It's only that you don't need to introduce one additional variable. Please stay away from that. And what you need to notice is that till this point, I have worked purely in percentages, and this is the absolute value that has come in the last step. So absolute value, to my mind, should be the last step of the calculation. Generally, that is what I do. I ignore absolute values at the beginning of the questions. So let's take a look at another question. This is a calculation based question. Out of the shirts produced in a factory, 15% are defective, 20% of the rest are sold in domestic market, while 8840 shirts are left for export. Okay, so you have this value in percentage, this value in percentage, while this is an absolute value. So there are two things in percentages and one in absolute value. According to my theory, I will ignore the absolute values. So if there are 100 shirts produced, how many are defective? 15%. 15% is 15. If 15 is defective, how many are usable? 85 are remaining. 85 are remaining. Out of these 85, what is the next proposition? 20% of the rest are sold in the domestic market. Now 20% is a fraction equivalent of 1/5. So what is 20% of 85? 1/5. 17 will be sold in the domestic market. That means how many more are remaining? 68 are remaining after the second operation also. So 68 are remaining after the second operation also. Now This 68 corresponds to this 8840. So what you can do is 100x is 85x, this is 68x. So 68x is equal to 8840, and you want to find the number of shirts produced by the factory. You want to find 100x. So 68x is 8840. What is 100x? What is 100x? So simple calculation, if 68x is equal to 8840, 68 into 13 is 884, if I'm not wrong. 680 plus 204, that's it. So x must be equal to 130. X must be equal to 130. So 100x must be equal to 13,000. So this is a simple calculation based percentage question, which is also a CAT question. So bust that myth कि यार CAT में सिर्फ tough questions ही आता है. There will be easy questions in CAT. You just need to have a keen eye to figure out what question is easy. So take a look at this. From here we'll do 4 or 5 questions which are actual CAT questions again, which have appeared in the recent 10 years. A contractor did not have space in his garage for 8 of his trucks. Therefore, he increased the size of his garage by 50%, which gave him space for 8 more trucks than he owned altogether. So there are 2 absolute values and only 1 percentage. So probably it is a good time to take absolute value into consideration. How many trucks did he own? How many trucks did he own is the question. Okay. So it may not be a bad idea to start with the options. We'll look at how to start with the options also, and we'll look at how to solve the question traditionally also. So let us say he has X trucks. Initially, how many trucks could he park? He could park X minus 8 trucks. If he could park X minus 8 trucks and he increased the size by 50%. So if he increases the size by 50%, that means he is multiplying that by 1.5. 50% increase would correspond to 1.5 ka multiplication factor. So x minus 8 into 1.5. Now how many trucks is he able to park? Will he be able to park? He has space for 8 more trucks. Should be equal to x plus 8. Now this 1.5, I don't like decimals in general, so I will convert it into a fraction. So I'll write it as x minus 8 into 3 by 2 is equal to x plus 8. So you have 3x minus 24 is equal to 2x plus 16, which will give you x is equal to 40. So the number of trucks that were initially there in the garage must be 40. Number of trucks that were initially there in the garage must be 40. Okay. So how can you use options? So let us say initially 32 trucks were there. Let's choose the first option. If initially 32 trucks were there, he could park only 24. If 24 increases to 1.5 times, 24 into 1.5, it becomes 36. Now, is this difference equal to 8? No. So this cannot be my answer. 32 minus 8 was there, but is it becoming 32 plus 8 here? No. So 32 is a gone option, right? Let's look at the next smaller option, that is 40. So when you work with 40, you'll find that 40 minus 8 is 32. If I 32 into 1.5, if I multiply, I should get 48. Now, is this difference satisfying the question? Is it plus 8? Yes. So 40 should be my answer. So you need not actually form equations in questions. You can directly use the options wherever options are available. Please make you sure of the options. Options are a part of the question. Take a look at this question. In an examination, the maximum possible score n is given. There is some maximum possible score n, and all the options are talking about n, so we have to find n. Pass marks is 45% of n. We don't know how many. A candidate obtains 36 marks, but he falls short of the pass marks by 68%. A candidate obtains 36 marks, but he falls short of the pass marks by 68%. Which of the options is then correct? Okay. So let us assume that initially, if the total marks was 100, and what is the pass mark out of 100? 45. 45 would have been the pass mark out of 100 marks. Now, how much has the candidate secured? That is an absolute value. I'll ignore that. What do I know? What do I know about what he has secured? He has secured 36 marks, but he has fallen short of the pass mark by 68%. So if he has fallen short of the pass mark by 68%, can I say he secured 32% of pass marks? That means this 45 into 32 by 100 is what he has secured. 45 into 32 by 100 is what he has secured. So 45 into 32 by 100 is what he has secured. So let us now say, okay, boss, the total marks was 100x, this is 45x. So what he has secured is 36 marks. This 36 marks is equal to 45x into 32 by 100. So using that, you can solve the equation for x. 45 by 100 into 36 into 32, x is equal to 36. So 5 9 5s are 9 4s are 4 8s are 4 8s are, so 100 by 40 is what you have. So x must be equal to 2.5. So if x is equal to 2.5, 100x must be equal to 250. That means the total marks of the paper must be equal to 250. And which of the following satisfies that condition? Which of the following satisfies that condition? Option 4, x belongs to the range of 243 and 252. Let's look at question number 3. This is a CAT 2020 slot 2 question. The previous question was a CAT 2018 slot 1. CAT 2020 slot 2. In May, John bought the same amount of rice and the same amount of wheat as he had bought in April. Amounts are equal, but he spent 150 more. So taking rice and wheat, whatever he spent in April, he spent plus 150 in the month of May. That is what is given. Okay. 150 more due to price increase of rice and wheat by 20% and 12% respectively. So whatever he must have spent on rice must have increased by 20%, and you will get a value in May. Whatever he must have spent on wheat must have increased by 15%, and you will get a value, 12% as given in the question, 12%, and you will get your value in May. So if John had spent 450 on rice on April, John had spent 450 on rice in April, how much did he spend on wheat in May is the question. So okay, how much did he spend on rice in April? He spent 450. Now this 450 has to increase by 20%, because 20% is the price surge. This 450, if this increases by 20%, 1/5, the increase in the price of rice is 90 rupees. That means he must have spent 540 rupees on rice in May. Whatever this value is doesn't matter to us, because that is not the question. The total increase in rice and wheat taken together should be 150, out of which 90 corresponds to rice. That means wheat must have increased by 60. Wheat must have increased by 60. So let us say that he spent x rupees over here. He spent x rupees over here. So x grows by 12% and it grows by 60. So can I say 12% of x? 12% of x must be equal to 60. 12 by 100 of x must be equal to 60. So x must be equal to what? X must be equal to what? X must be equal to 500. So he must have spent 500 rupees on wheat in the month of April. That means he will spend 560 rupees. He will spend 560 rupees on wheat in the month of May. The question is, how much did he spend on wheat in the month of May? It has to be 560. Now please understand, can we be smarter? Can we solve this question faster? Let us say that he spent 100 rupees on wheat in April. How much will he end up spending in May? He will end up spending 112. 112. So if this is 100x, this must be 112x. Now my answer should be a multiple of 112 or a factor of 112. What are the factors of 112? 28 is there, 56 is there. Some multiple of any of these numbers should actually ideally be my answer, which is the only option that gives you that liberty. I think 560, 112 into 5 is simply telling you, ki boss, pick me. So that should have been your first choice when you actually looked at the question without actually solving the entire question. Question 4. This is a CAT 2020 slot 1 question. In a group of people, 28 members are young, rest are old. 65 members are literates and the rest are illiterates. 25% of illiterates are young, then percent. So this is a complex problem in percentages itself. There is a classification in terms of young and old. There is also a classification in terms of literate and illiterate. Let us see कर सकते हैं क्या कर सकते हैं इसमें. So let us say out of 100 people, 28 are young. That means 72 are old. Also, out of 100, how many are literate? 65 are literates. That means 35 will be illiterates. 65 are literates. That means 35 will be illiterates. आगे क्या? 25% of the literates are young. That means 25, 1/4 of them are young. So 65 by 4 people, which translates to 16.25. 16.25 people are young. 16.25 are young. So out of the young people, can I now say that 16.25 are literates? That means how many of them will be illiterates? How many of them will be illiterates? 28 minus 16.25, 11.75. I am not asking you to break the people into quarters. 16.25 people hota nahi hai, right? But still, can we work on this? Percentage wise, this is all in percentages. So 11.75 people out of 28 young people will be illiterate. So if out of illiterate people, 11.75 are young, the percentage of old people among the illiterates is near to what? So now percentage of old people. So if out of this 35, 11.75 are young, how many will be old? 23.25 will be old. 23.25 will be old. So what is the question asking? Among the illiterates, what is the percentage of old people? The percentage of old people among the illiterates will be equal to 23.25 upon 35 into 100. Because the options are 59, 62, 66 and 55, they are far enough. Let me approximate it to be 24 upon 36 into 100, which is equal to 2/3. 2/3 is 66%. That should be my answer without spending much time. Even if you feel at this juncture, if you feel that probably spending 30 seconds more, if you feel that spending 30 seconds more will probably give you the correct answer, then I think you should spend those 30 seconds more because it is worth that 3 marks actually, right? Even if you don't know shortcuts, if you are able to pick the correct questions, you should be able to get the correct answers quickly. Let's look at the last question for this video. This is the CAT 2020 slot 3 question. In a final examination, Vishnu scored 52%, Asha scored 64%. Marks obtained by Vishnu is 23 less and Asha is 34 more than the marks obtained by Ramesh. So Ramesh scored R marks. These 23 and 34 are absolute marks. Leave it aside. There are 2 percentages given. Marks obtained by Geeta is 84%. How much is the marks obtained by Geeta is the question. So if 100 marks was the score, Vishnu scored what? 52. Asha scored what? 64. The difference between them must be equal to 12% of the paper. 12% of the paper. And what is the difference between them given? Vishnu has scored R, Ramesh, minus 23. And Asha has scored 34 marks, more than Ramesh, R plus 34. So the difference between them is going to be 57 marks. So can I say 12% of the total marks is 57? 12% of the total marks is 57. Once we have figured that out, we are supposed to find what is the marks obtained by Geeta, which is 84%. So if 12% is 57, 12 into 7, 84% must be equal to what? 57 into 7? 57 into 7. 57s are 350. 7 sevens are 49. 399 should be your answer. If you look at this question, I haven't figured out still what is the total marks of the exam because that's not asked. Nahi chahiye mere ko wo. Right? You only find out whatever is given in the question and basically use percentage. To get to the answer. the absolute values will fall in place. Typically assume a value which is comfortable for you. You look at any of these questions I have solved, I have assumed initial 100 hoga. Initial 100 hoga. Because that is my base. That is my base on which I calculate percentage generally. So what are the key learnings from this session? Assume values that make your calculations easy. The denominator of the percentage calculation typically should be your 100, right? Or whatever base value you are taking is 100 or a multiple of 100, 100,000 kind of numbers will probably make your calculations very, very easy. Work with percentages and not absolute values or variables. Absolute values or variables could come into the last step of your calculation. As far as possible, work in either percentages or ratios. As far as possible, work in either percentages or ratios. So that was the video, guys. If you like the content of this video, please this video and subscribe to our channel. Every Thursday I'll be coming to you with one additional learning session in either quantitative ability or data interpretation and logical reasoning. Thanks a lot.